So AI is moving at an increasingly faster pace, and I have no idea how you and the team manage to stay on top of this. But I do know from some of the conversations we have recently, there has been some very interesting developments on the Microsoft Copilot front. So please do tell us what those developments are and what they mean.
So I think the most significant change and a pivot for Microsoft is the introduction of different AI models into Copilot. So behind the scenes, Microsoft Copilot isn't its own model, isn't its own brain. They license OpenAI's ChatGPT. So if you use ChatGPT, it's the same thing as Copilot, near enough. But now they've introduced Claude. Claude is the model from Anthropic. Rather than Copilot relying on one single AI vendor for its models, Microsoft's created this kind of gallery of AIs and different models that you can now use, and that potentially is the direction Copilot is heading, with Microsoft developing its own models as well. So rather than Copilot being tied to one AI, it's more of a kind of a proxy, or it's routing your prompts to all these different models under the hood.
We've always associated Copilot with Azure OpenAI. What we're saying now is it's now shifting into more of a multi-model system where, as you say, there's this gallery of different models that you can hook into and use.
The other interesting thing that's happened as a result of this is the reasons that people went to maybe a specific AI vendor like Claude because they wanted some of the capability around automation. Well, that capability is now in Copilot because it's using Claude. So it's bringing users and people back to Copilot rather than having to split off into all these different models.
I suppose the obvious question is then, what are the advantages, and what are the disadvantages of this kind of new direction, that Microsoft are taking?
So the advantages that we're seeing is some of the capabilities in these other models that had previously then required you to have multiple subscriptions to different AI companies' products is now essentially in one box, Copilot. You can start to use those in one place rather than having to worry about which AI vendors got the best model at that time, because that inevitably changes over the months. The disadvantages though, and we have seen this, and I think this is almost universal, is that even though, take Copilot, had originally used ChatGPT, the experience, even though it's using the same model, had always been better in OpenAI than Copilot. Now there's some reasons behind that and why that's the case, but inevitably the AI vendor who's created the model likely has the best interface to that model on top of it. So there will be some benefits and disadvantages, but overwhelmingly, Copilot still remains, for us, in our view, one of the best AI tools out there with its privacy, confidentiality guarantees. So it's exciting for us to see these other models and capabilities now being enabled in Copilot.
So just going back again, why do you think Microsoft have made this shift? I mean, it is a significant shift. I mean, was it an expected shift, and why do you think they've done this now?
I don't think it was expected. Microsoft have heavily been kind of joined up with OpenAI from a really early stage, actually. When OpenAI first released ChatGPT, Microsoft was kind of in there very early on. It's been the basis of Copilot for 3-4 years. So it was very much unexpected. However, people familiar with this will know that Microsoft's exclusivity deal with OpenAI is not going to last forever. So Microsoft has had to kind of think about what is life beyond just OpenAI and their models. We did see Microsoft try to develop their own model, but it looks like potentially that hasn't gone maybe as well or as quickly as they wanted, so they have drawn in Anthropic's Claude model.